Now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Now available in paperback and e-readers. A steam horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. I just finished the first draft of my new novel, Spinsterella, Goth Girl Summer. Now, Spinsterella, Goth Girl Summer is a book that takes place between Spellbound and the legendary Mad Matilda and Spinsterella. And this book, Spinsterella, Goth Girl Summer, details the time in the year 2000 when Matilda tried to go out on her own and live on her own. And in this story, as she's looking to live on her own, she's out here pursuing a career in goth modeling in Los Angeles. Now, I wanted to write this story for several reasons. One of them was to show that Matilda did actually make an effort to go out on her own, because I found it odd that she was basically living with her parents, and I wanted to show that she just did not wind up living with her parents as a default, and that she made a serious effort to go out on her own. That was one of the reasons why I started this novel. The other was to basically tie up some loose ends in previous Spinsterella books like Legendary Mad Matilda and in the first Spinsterella, and make it where we could see the path that Matilda made to becoming the director of events at Amalgamated Consolidated. And as I was putting together the story points for this book, I basically wanted to go out here and do a story where we saw Matilda as she was on this working vacation and was out here pursuing this career in goth modeling, because what I wanted to show people was how we got to today's current goth scene, where we have brands like Killstar and Punk Rave and all of the online e-commerce, and show the foundations of how we got to that place of e-commerce today. Now, the goth subculture is a music-based subculture, and the foundations of it always were the music. However, we started to see a transition from the music to fashion, and I believe that really started around 1998 to 2000, and I believe the year 2000 was a major turning point for the goth scene as related to us going from this whole foundation of music to more people looking at the fashion, art, and literature. I believe that the year 2000 was a major turning point where we went from people focusing on the music to focusing on fashion. And that was because the internet basically opened the door for business to expand in the goth scene, and it basically changed the overall economy of the goth subculture. That's what I believe happened in the year 2000 to make it a major turning point in the goth scene. Was, again, the internet explosion with the .com craze, because with the .com craze, more people had opportunities that didn't have them in the past to open up businesses, and as they opened up web stores, they were able to reach those customers that other companies were not interested in, and I believe that had a major impact on the goth scene. Was the internet, basically the internet.com boom, because the .com boom made it where the door opened for many small business people and opened the door for them to participate in commerce. Now, before the days of the .com, most people who were in the goth scene usually had to go to places like thrift stores or go to specialty shops in neighborhoods like the Village here in Manhattan, or they had to go out and order their merchandise from catalogs like Lip Service, if they could find or even request those catalogs, because that company was very small at the time, and that was the only way they could get merchandise until the internet basically opened the door. Now, the internet basically opened the door back then because with the internet, you basically had a virtual store space And you also had it where you could come in with very little capital. A lot of people opened up their businesses online just with their personal savings, and others were able to open up stores because there was a lot of venture capital going around with the dot-com craze and people dreaming of getting big profits. And with people looking to get those big profits, they were looking to invest in businesses like the dot-coms, and that's one of the other reasons why I picked the year 2000, because I grew up, I was 26 years old at the time, and I saw the dot-com craze going on, and as I saw the dot-com craze going on, I saw a lot of the craziness going on with people using unorthodox business models and going out here and paying people crazy salaries. I mean, all of this was going on in the year 2000, and I wanted to try to capture some of that insanity in this story. Now, as I was writing this story, I got a lot of ideas for this story. Originally, I wanted to do a story about Matilda similar to the canceled Beetlejuice sequel, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, but that didn't go anywhere, so I decided to go in a different direction from the original one I planned in 2019. Now, over the course of 2023, I really started to get the inspiration for this story because I saw a YouTuber called Vessel of Blood, a very nice young woman. She made a lot of videos talking about the Goth cruises and events that she went to, and that really gave me the inspiration for doing this story, was seeing how she was basically going out here to these different vacation spots. And I took that and ideas that I got from watching many of Herbs and Altars and Angela Benedict videos that talked about the goth subculture in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I also then took some ideas from Madame Absinthe videos, where she's a seamstress who does a lot of goth fashion. And I came up with the idea for this whole .com website, which was going to be a precursor to the current websites we see today, like the punk raves and the kill stars. And I came up with the idea of this .com that Matilda would be working for as this goth model, and I wanted to explore the early days of goth modeling. And as I was looking to do that, I wanted to show how she was trying to pursue this new career in goth modeling as she was looking to go out on her own. And as I was doing this, I had a lot of fun writing this story because I take elements from different approaches to comedy. I take elements from the Munsters, I take elements from Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and elements from a lot of Cameron Diaz movies, because Cameron Diaz was a big star in the 2000s, and a lot of her comedies are considered to be classics. So I mix all those elements together with my own Sean James style, and I put together the Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, this story that is set in the year 2000, a period that I think a lot of readers would love to go back to, because that was a time of a lot of hope for a lot of people. I mean, the new millennium was going on. This was the first year of not only the first of the 21st century, but we were seeing a lot of people with a lot of hope and optimism. I remember that period being a very hopeful one for a lot of people because the economy was doing well. Almost everyone had a job. You had a lot of malls still open, and you had a lot of people just basically enjoying life. I mean, it was a very different world 25 years ago, and because we were in again this new millennium, and there was all this hope. And as all this hope was going on, we were in the early days of the internet. The early days of the internet, where we had Angel Fire pages or GeoCities pages where you could make your own website, and there was no social media, but there was all these chat rooms on AOL and AOL Instant Messaging. I really go in depth in showing you how the world was different back then in the year 2000, and show you how life was like in the year 2000. I mean, the world was a completely different place, and I wanted to show how Matilda was looking to make a new start in this new millennium. And I really wanted to, again, make this story to really take everybody back to those fun times when we still had Saturday morning cartoons on. We even had weekday cartoons still on, and still could go out here and get cool stuff like Surge sodas and all sorts of stuff. Krispy Kreme had just come out. I mean, the year 2000 was, again, a great time for a lot of people, and I wanted to take you back with this flashback to the year 2000. I mean, I mentioned a lot of cool stuff, and as I'm mentioning a lot of cool stuff like those anime shirts and things that went on in the year 2000, I also take you into a larger world of the goth scene. I mean, this world is a lot bigger. We are in two cities. We're both in New York and LA, and the cast is a lot larger with a lot more goth characters. I mean, the head of the .com that Matilda works for is a goth. The executive assistant he has is a cyber goth. I haven't forgotten CyberGoth because CyberGoth was big in 2000, and I make a commentary about CyberGoth. And also, you have one of the other characters. He's a goth, and then we also see people who are elder goths in this one. So it's a much larger and richer cast for Goth Girl Summer, and it's a season I think everyone will enjoy when I finally get this book to the marketplace. Now, the book right now, what I'm trying to do with it is trying to get this book to cost out, because now at 145,000 words, I mean, this book is basically going to be about maybe 500-600 pages if I don't find a way to condense the story. I mean, this is going to be 500-600 pages if I can get it cleaned up. And the whole thing is, I want to put the pictures in. I want to show you those snapshots of life, of Matilda's life, because there's a lot that happens in this book. I mean, there's things that I'm planning in this book for the whole image sections of the book, or a calendar that Matilda did a page for in that she posed for. There's a cover for a fictional version of Gothic Beauties magazine, which is inspired by Gothic Beauty magazine, which came out in the year 2000. The Gothic Beauty was a fashion magazine that started in the year 2000, and that was all part of that turning point of the new millennium, because again, in the new millennium, this is where we started to see goth go from being more focused on other things other than the foundation of the music, but the music is the foundation for everything. But this expansion basically showed how there was a fashion world that was building, there was an art world that was building, there was a literature world that was building, and I wanted to take us back to that time so that we could see the historical context and perspective of everything, including Hot Topic, because Hot Topic, while some people will say that those mall goths aren't real goths, the whole point I wanted to show is that they did have a place in the context of history as related to the commerce of the goth subculture, and show how it's a major part of that commerce, because again, we have bridges to commerce, because again, in the 80s, again, it was all just mail order catalogs and what you could find in the thrift store, to Hot Topic being that bridge in between, and then the .coms came along, and now the .coms are a major part of the goth economy and basically have become their own economy, basically becoming a global billion-dollar business. And with this book, I really wanted to explore, again, that turning point in the goth scene in the year 2000, that turning point in history where we started to see, again, the goth scene expand and grow, and really show how everything really changed in the year 2000, and show how, again, as Matilda's life was changing, and she was looking to make it on her own as this model, and looking to continue to try to be a role model that she had planned in Legendary Man Matilda, where she wanted to go out into the world and be a role model by being a professional in the goths. As a goth, she wanted to be a professional that showed a positive example of a person who was goth. I wanted to show how she was looking to further expand things as she went out on this period on her own. And I wanted this story to, again, just be a lot of fun as we take that trip back to the year 2000, because a lot of people, they make a lot of stuff talking about nostalgia from the 80s. They make a lot of nostalgia talking about only the 80s and maybe some of the 70s, but they never talk about those people who grew up in the 90s, the millennials, or people who grew up in the year 2000. I mean, the year 2000, that was again a major time for a lot of folks. I mean, this was again a year that the world was changing in many ways. Again, new millennium stuff going on, but nobody wants to talk about the 2000s. But I felt like I wanted to talk about the year 2000 and again give you that snapshot of time and life going on at that time. I mean, in addition to drawing from my own personal experiences of work, that was the year I was working at AmeriCorps Vista in the year 2000. I also did a lot of research on the fashions of the year 2000, like all of the Skechers shoes and again those anime shirts and the baggy jeans and all the cool stuff people used to wear back then. And I also talked about Armani suits, Melrose Place. I know Melrose Place was canceled in '98, but people still remembered that show and a lot of other stuff that was going on. And they remember a lot of the Saturday morning cartoons like Batman Beyond and other shows like that. And they remember a whole lot of fun stuff that was going on at the time. And I wanted this book to be a trip down memory lane for Goths, people who lived in the year 2000, and make it a book for just about anyone and make it just a fun book for everyone. So this one was a lot of fun for me to write, and I hope to get this book out next year for the 10th anniversary of Spinsterella, which was published in 2015. That was the first year of the first Spinsterella book. And with Goth Girl Summer, I wanted to just do a fun book about Matilda going on vacation and this quest to go on her own. And it's a fun book that I think everyone will enjoy, and I think you guys will really enjoy this one once I get it to the marketplace. Now, if you want to pick up the previous books in the Spinsterella trilogy, you can pick up the previous books, which are Spellbound, which explores Matilda's baby bat years in the goth scene in 1989, The Legendary Mad Matilda, which just explores Matilda's last years of her senior year and the start of her job at Amalgamated Consolidated in 1995, and you can pick up Spinsterella, which takes place in the present day. And all three of those books are going to be available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. They're also available at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, and you can also find them at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to help me be able to pay for the art that's going to go into Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, if I can fit all that art into this book and make it cost out, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.